technically not having not having a match at WrestleMania, so he calls out Taker, as he's wont to do.
Oh boy, I'll go into that at another time how I feel about that, but that's
not fun.
Yeah,
don't want it.
I'll save that rant for a future episode.
Yeah, but as for now, 3 words: don't want it.
Do not want.
Yeah. But the look on his face afterwards, sitting in the corner all dejected with himself, fucking gold. Man, that's it. Okay,
it worked for me.
You had the whole continuation of the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon story that will hopefully finally finish up at WrestleMania, whatever they do with the 3 of them. Mm-hmm. They're talking about either Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, or a triple threat match with Daniel Bryan as a guest referee. So, you never know. Okay, but somehow this shit's got to end at WrestleMania, because it's another one of those where they struck when the iron was hot with Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon at Hell in a Cell.
That they did.
Okay, and what is it, 6 months later now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's been on and off since then. But more off. So you forgot about it, and now it's kind of lukewarm at best. What they're doing going in. Okay. I did like the welt on Shane McMahon's face from the super kick. That was fun. Knowing that it actually connected... Knowing that it actually connected flush, and he didn't just fling himself back into the barricade like he normally does, that's fun to see, and I'll tell you what, AJ Styles really didn't do that much in this match. When you think about it.
Well,
when you really think about it. Okay.
I'm assuming they want to protect him and keep him.
And
keep him in
fresh.
Good shape for WrestleMania.
Yeah, but when you think about it, this match was really good, and a lot of it is not on the strength of AJ Styles, because they had him out for most of the match.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more this really reeks of what New Japan will do with some of their off shows. They'll put some of their biggest names in multi-man tag matches, just so they have a spot in the card that people can see them, but they're still not all putting in a lot of work individually. So that they get, even though they're on the show and they're technically working, they're still getting relatively rested up.
But this match was basically exactly what it needed to be. Organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And when organized chaos is done correctly, you get a pretty enjoyable main event. Even though, let's face it, we all knew, once again, the stigma of the show, we all knew what was coming at the end of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, but as Tarek said last week, it's the journey. Okay, and the journey in this match was pretty freaking enjoyable to watch.
That indeed it was.
Carnage, murder, Shane McMahon getting kicked in the forehead and actually having damage. Legit damage, not from flinging himself back into the barricade, which is the norm. Okay, you got Sami Zayn's facial expressions. Those are always fun. And you get, everybody had their moment to shine. Everybody busted their ass for the moments that they had. Mm-hmm. And turned out to be enjoyable to watch. I'd say match of the night. Mostly because I was invested in the whole thing, and that was few and far between to come by. And it was fun.
So all that being said, what would you give this WWE Fastlane 2018 as a whole? What rating scale would you give?
I can't give it any more than a goatee.
Classic goatee, 3 out of 5?
Classic goatee, 3 out of 5. Because as I said, it's one of those. The wrestling mostly good, nothing great, mostly good. You had that minute and a half at the end of the ladies' match that was like, no, don't want. But other than that, nothing that actively made me turn away from the TV. Okay? But I can't get away from the fact that this was paint by numbers fair. You knew what was going to happen most of the time going in. And even when we predicted somebody else in one of the matches, there was always the thought in the back of the mind that Randy Orton was going to pull it out. Because out of nowhere, when you have a move that comes out of nowhere, it's a very good shot you're going to win no matter who we pick. So, really, there were no surprises.
Yeah, for this one, I honestly have to give this a 2 out of 5. Just a peach fuzz. I don't know, something about this, because of the way it was executed and what my expectations were, there were a lot of times that I was just kind of bored with this. Like, sure, it's wrestling. Sure, there were still plenty of good things to see. But compared to where we're at right then, based off of where we're going to be next month, this just fell pretty flat for me, barring a couple of high points. So
I'll give you this. Okay, as I said at the beginning of the show. Okay, I'm still not invested in the road to WrestleMania. Okay, you had the 2 moments in this show that built up for further WrestleMania build-up. We basically got 2 matches added, even if one of them isn't official yet. And we know that another one's going to be coming. We know that 2 more are coming out of the main event with whatever Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Shane McMahon are doing, and the possible don't want of Cena versus Taker. But there's just something about this road to WrestleMania that it's not grabbing me. Okay, and I'm getting a distinct, once again, which one was Shane versus Taker? Was it 33?
That was, I think 32? That was 32, yes.
Yeah, I'm getting a distinct WrestleMania 32 feel here, and we rank 32 as the worst pay-per-view of that year, and I'm really hoping that we're not heading for another bad WrestleMania, because I'm just not feeling any of what they're hitting me with right now. It's even hard for me to get into Styles versus Nakamura at this point. I don't know why, but I don't know if it's whether everything else is just not grabbing me enough to bring down the excitement factor for that match. You know what I mean? Or whether it's they had the stupid build up to the last pay-per-view where they weren't building up Styles versus Nakamura. It goes back to what I was saying last week. I think that they should cut out the in-between between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I think that the 2 the February and the pay-per-views in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania are superfluous. They don't matter, and they're not needed because they break up the flow. Okay, they should have been building up Shinsuke versus AJ since Shinsuke won the Royal Rumble. They took about 3 weeks off to build up this 6-man, and now it's hard to get back into it. I was coming off the Royal Rumble all excited, and then they didn't even have him on TV after the Royal Rumble win the week after. So it's like, okay, whatever. And the whole thing with the Elimination Chamber getting the number 1 contender, okay, you don't need to have a pay-per-view to do that. You can it doesn't need to be in the Elimination Chamber either. Okay, they used to do battle royals and 6-man to become the number one contender for the other world title back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
On a Raw. Okay, so I say get rid of the in-between pay-per-views between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania because they really don't matter and they break up the flow of the feuds that you're trying to accomplish going into WrestleMania. Shinsuke versus AJ should have been at a fever pitch by now, and I'm not feeling it because of what they did with this pay-per-view.
I'm sure that having a whole other pay-per-view a month before the biggest show of the year makes sense to some bean counter somewhere in Titan Towers or whatnot. But as far as from a fan standpoint, from a build standpoint, I would be just as concerned as you are if we didn't have a whole month ahead of just sheer build just for the biggest show of the year.
I'm hoping that they can pull me back in. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I think that 2 months of build for the biggest pay-per-view of the year would be better than 1. Especially when the 3 weeks between the Royal Rumble and the Fastlane pay-per-view were as shitty as they were.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, you've already heard what we have to say. So now it's time for us to tag you into the fold. The internet wrestling audience, the internet wrestling community, the smarks, the marks, whatever you want to call yourself, we want to hear it from you. So as always, leave us a comment anywhere on the internet. If you're joining us on YouTube, first of all, hi, how you doing? Nice to see you. That shirt looks great on you. Leave us a comment on our YouTube video.
How are we doing that? Skynet is real.
Skynet is real, kids. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell John Connor. Instead of telling John Connor, you know what you should do? Give us a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe if you want to hear more every single week. It's always a good time. Or you can also check us out on our Facebook page. Just run a search for the Scholars of Wrestling Show. You can find us there. Or if you'd like to hear live commentary every single major show that there is, you can do what we do and you can follow us on our Twitters. You can follow our main account at ScholarsOW. You can follow our fearless leader, Scholar Tarek, at
The Avatar.
The Avatar. Wow, I'm getting tired tonight. Brian, where can they reach you?
You can find me being my sarcastic douche Shelf at Shelf. Yeah, apparently I'm getting tired too.
We're all getting tired.
At Atomic Beanpole.
And you can track me down at I'm Robbie Rage, all one word. Join us for a good time. Hopefully you won't be too tired and the things you will say will be completely intelligible. But until that time happens, we need to get some sleep because you already know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled.
You're welcome.
See you all next week.
Yeah!